Welcome to the Elixir Kitchen. My name is Jeremy Capone. I'm the wellness chef here, and
I'm Stephanie Gladman, the registered dietitian. And in today's class, we're going to be talking about ways to manage appetite loss. Okay? And this is something that can occur during treatment or even after. And obviously, it's important to eat well, getting the nutrients that you need in order to have the energy and what it takes to go through treatment, but also because of recovery. And I do want to say that eating well obviously looks different for so many different people, okay? So, when you're experiencing a side effect like appetite loss, it's important to keep in mind that what you usually eat, okay, might look a little bit differently, okay? Or what other people around you might look differently. So a really good example is that, you might have appetite loss and be in the mood for eating breakfast items at dinner time, okay? And that's okay. So I want to just kind of reiterate that at times when you're experiencing appetite loss, it's important to know what's good for yourself, and only you can know that, and also by talking with a registered dietitian or someone who could help with your plan. So appetite loss is basically when you do not feel hungry and you do not want to eat or have an interest in food. But obviously eating well is important because you want to make sure you are getting those nutrients that you need, that you prevent weight loss, that you have energy, and that you're strong enough for the treatment or any type of recovery. So the best advice that we have today is basically, really sharing that you want to make every bite count, okay? And so in today's class, we're going to explore 3 different recipes and different ways that we could do so.
yeah, absolutely. We had a lot of fun putting together today's recipes, and hopefully you enjoy them. We're going to start off with our first one, and we're making a frittata. So sometimes I'll throw these Italian words at you. If anyone hasn't heard of frittata before, it is sort of like an Italian omelet, okay? We love using it because it's a great way to maximize, the use of eggs and some other ingredients that you can hide in there for flavor, but also to bump up some of the calories and proteins and fats, right?
So when you are making every bite count, kind of what does that mean? You want to maximize the proteins and high-calorie foods, which in certain cases, for some people, who are in a different area, like, for example, they're managing their weight, these specific ingredients might not be appropriate for you, okay? So this is just, as we're going through this, these recipes, again, I want you to, really just understand that today we're looking at those who are experiencing appetite loss, and we want to boost those calories, we want to boost those proteins by using things like eggs or high-fat yogurts or cream.
Yeah, okay? For sure. Yeah. Another intention too, with some of these recipes is absolutely make it now, enjoy it now for sure. These are also intended to package up, right? So you're almost batch cooking, right? So if it's a small bite now, you save the rest for later. These are easily, these can be easily frozen, even store in the refrigerator, and then kind of take as you need. So yeah, we're gonna jump right into the first one. We're making our frittata. I've got a medium pan. I'm going to teach you 2 ways to make this. I'm going to start off with the first one, which is a little more traditional. But we have a pan, medium heat, a little bit of fat in there. We're using olive oil. You can use, another canola oil or grapeseed oil, whatever you want. You only need a little bit in there.
And don't worry about how much you're having, right? Use it sparingly because again, fat foods obviously have energy. They help absorb important vitamins, but you want to actually add. So it's like you're getting, for a small amount, you're getting more calories.
Yeah, and we're using about 8 to 10 eggs in here. So that might seem like a lot of eggs. Again, this is going to be a very dense dish that you can portion off, take what you need, and then store the rest. So we have our eggs here, and what's important with a frittata, which is different from like a traditional French omelet, is I do not want to over whisk this with the eggs, okay? So a fork is good. You can take out the heavy whisk if you want, but don't go crazy on it because we don't want to add too much air. Because if we add too much air, it's going to fluff up really high, almost like a souffle in the oven. And then when you take it out, it's going to just collapse, right? We're not looking for a souffle here. We want something that's actually a little more on the dense side, not like light and airy like a French omelet, okay? So we're just whisking it just until combined, and we can kind of break up the yolks too. And I'm also going to boost this up a little bit. You can add cream in here. That'll be obviously a little more French. I'm actually adding yogurt to this as well.
And just one thing to keep in mind is that appetite loss might be caused by there's a variety of reasons as to why someone might be experiencing appetite loss. So it can be from a medication, it could be from cancer itself or the treatment, but also certain side effects that you might experience. So, you know, if someone's experiencing digestive issues, so diarrhea or constipation, maybe there's taste changes, perhaps there are dry mouth, etc. So again, you want to try addressing those specific side effects. And so, you know, anytime that one is experiencing appetite loss, it's important to talk with your healthcare team. So just of note, you know, if you are experiencing diarrhea, something like a high-fat yogurt might not be the best thing, okay? So in that case, you might want to still maximize the protein by having a Greek yogurt, but one that's lower in fat, okay? So we're always trying to balance things that are, you know, different and to look at what your specific case is. So as Jeremy mentioned, you know, high-fat yogurt is awesome for boosting up those calories, but in other situations, you know, a lactose-free or a low-fat one might be a better option.
Beautiful. Okay, so I added the egg and that yogurt mixture. You can season it a little bit. I just went with salt, but definitely if you want a little spicier, you can even throw some like hot sauce in there or put some herbs, whatever you like. Add it to your pan, and this has already been heated, so it's about a medium heat. And right away, I want to start going through it with my spatula or my wooden spoon, okay? So again, a little different than like a very delicate, we're not going delicate here, okay? We're getting right in there, we're messing it up. I want to see how fast it's starting to cook and starting to create those curds. And I want to move them around. I don't want them to just sit, otherwise the bottom is just gonna become really hard and crusty, and you're gonna get a lot of like more caramelization on the bottom. And it's not gonna cook evenly throughout. So I do wanna mix it around, and you can already see, it's a little difficult to see there, but I can see these little curds starting to develop. That is what I wanna see. And then we can start adding some other ingredients to it, right? If we're going for very plain, again, depending on your needs, like Stephanie mentioned, if you just want something very neutral, very plain, you can, you know, go on the lighter end, you can keep it just like this, maybe season it. We're gonna add some sweet potato to this. This is sweet potato, so the way we do our sweet potatoes here, I've done them a few times, just wash them and throw them into the oven. And you can do like 20 of them. You can poke them, yeah, you can poke them with a fork if you want to release some of the steam. It's not as important in the oven. If you're doing them in the microwave, definitely poke it. It'll explode. Yeah, but you can do them in the microwave too, really quick, just until they're nice and soft. And then you can chuck these in the freezer, just like this. And then anytime you're making like a soup or an omelet or whatever, like even like a mash, like a root veg mash, it's much easier to take it out of the freezer at that point and you have something that's already done, right? If you had just like frozen sweet potato or butternut squash or something, you can absolutely add that to this. If you have some chopped tomatoes, like that's the beautiful thing about this recipe. Definitely don't follow the rules. I rarely follow my own recipes. Make it your own, okay? Mix it up a little bit. So we have some really, really nice, just roasted sweet potato, nothing added to it. And I'm just gonna start adding pieces of it to
and just one thing to note about the egg, so it is, like I mentioned, a source of protein, which is important for, you know, building and repairing your muscles. It also helps with nail and hair growth. You know, and it adds energy and calories to your diet. In terms of the protein, okay, one egg has about 6 grams of protein. Okay, so just again, kind of giving you an idea as to how much you're getting. And it's also known to be a high quality protein, okay, and that's because it has 9 of the essential amino acids, okay, and basically the essential part is that it's essential because your body doesn't make those amino acids on their own, okay, you need to get it through diet, and those amino acids are important for building the proteins in your body. So, you know, eggs are a great source of protein that you could use, you know, in a number of different ways, and especially those who are going through treatment or recovery. You do want to make sure you cook them properly, and that's in terms of the food safety. Okay, so storing and cooking them appropriately is something you want to look out for.
So this is the point where we're at, and I'm actually taking it off the heat. All right, so I'm taking it off the heat. Once I see those curdles, right? It's still definitely wet on top. It's not fully cooked, but that's all I want to actually do on my stovetop. I don't want to cook it any longer than this because the rest of the cooking is going to be done in the oven, right? And that's going to make sure we're cooking it all the way through, but you're going to get some really nice caramelization on not only the egg, but some of the other ingredients as well. So at this point, if we want to add some fresh herbs, I actually like the use of like rosemary and oregano on here, but if you want to put some basil, some mint even.
Yeah, so especially for those who are experiencing taste changes, depending on what they are, you know, some people during treatment actually have no taste, right? So boosting that flavor with lots of herbs or spices can actually kind of help with those taste changes.
And then Steph's like, definitely bump up the calories for this recipe. So we're going for a cheese as well. And this is just a nice cheddar. You can use whatever you want. And we're gonna put it on top. And you can definitely mix it throughout as well, but you're gonna get the most color happening if it's on the top. And that's it. And then that goes into the oven, fairly simple, but that goes into the oven about 350, 375 for about 20 minutes, okay? And you're looking for it to be nice and firm. If you stick a paring knife or a toothpick inside, almost like you're baking a cake, and it should come out fairly clean, it shouldn't come out wet. Then that's it. Then you take it out and let it cool, and try to remove it from the pan. Hopefully it doesn't give you too much stress. So that's one way, right? Putting it in. And then you put it in the refrigerator after, or you eat it, you know, whatever you want at that point, but then you can put it in the refrigerator after. And this is what it looks like. I did it in a square pan. So this is another way you can do it. And it's a little bit faster, not as traditional, but it's gonna save you a lot of scrubbing in the pan as well. Line your pan with some parchment paper, okay? And I've done it in this class before. Just take a big sheet, run it under water, crunch it up, and then tuck it into like a baking pan. That entire action process, just mix it all together and just pour it into the baking dish, okay? Into the oven, and you're gonna just cook it into the oven until it's done. And that takes about 25, 35 minutes until it's fully set all the way through, and that's what we're looking at. The beautiful thing about this, especially after it's chilled, is that pops right out of the baking dish, and you don't have to worry about egg sticking to the pan, which is a nightmare. And then from here, because it's nice and chilled, I can portion this into our little squares.
You know, really important to think about eating throughout your day. So, you know, 1 to 2 hours, kind of having little small bites might be something that you consider, right? When you don't feel like eating, when you don't have interest in food. And so, you know, this is really great. It could be a meal, right? But it could also be used as a snack, okay? So just like something on the go when you're, you know, at an appointment or at work or wherever you are throughout the day. You would want to heat it up if you're, you know, not eating it after it comes out of the oven. But again, like knowing that this could be portioned, you could put it in the freezer, wrap it up, taking it out whenever is needed. And I was going to say something else. Yeah, so it could be like a snack or a meal that you could have for on the go.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the color on that too.
Good.
Awesome.